a couple of questions we have right now. Just why don't you lean forward just a little bit? That's very good. All right, thank you very much. Question about healthcare reform. I have read your article on illegal healthcare reform and the individual mandate. Let's turn to something that is constitutional in your mind. And what do you say to those people that still continue to invoke the Commerce Clause? Could you just elaborate on that a little bit for me?
Well, this is very important, and I know that a lot of people are looking at the economic impact of the government controlling the entire healthcare business, at the quality of care that would result. But the constitutional element is very, very important. Why? The Constitution reflects the framers' recognition that excessive concentration of power in the hands of government, it doesn't matter which branch it is, all branches, executive, Congress, political branches, would be very unhealthy. So the Commerce Clause was meant to ensure that the national government, the federal government, cannot engage in general regulation. We call it police powers, which is power to prescribe pretty much every aspect of life that states have. So Commerce Clause is essentially designed to limit the ability of the federal government to regulate the way in which businesses operate, in which people lead their lives. And the problem of requiring individuals to purchase insurance is, if you accept this notion, there's nothing, and I repeat, nothing, that federal government cannot require people to do. You can be required to eat healthy, to eat a certain quantity of fish and chicken and fruits and vegetables. You can be required to buy a health club membership, which is a good thing. I certainly enjoy exercising, but there's an enormous difference between concluding that you want to do it on your own and having the government tell you this. It means the government being able to require you to take lessons or take classes from a psychiatrist, a nutritionist, the kind of mobilization of a governmental power that absolutely cramps your choices is an individual. It's fundamentally inconsistent with our constitutional fabric. And for those of my good friends who are, progressive, who think that the government doing good things is a wonderful thing, I would just ask them to consider, what if a government was not animated by what they would consider to be benign and beneficial goals? What if it was animated by an entirely different set of goals? Would you be comfortable having the government tell you what you can read, what you can think, what you can buy? Which is inevitable if you allow the Commerce Clause to support these kinds of government mandates.
So can you look in your crystal ball, Mr. Rivkin, and tell me what you think is going to happen this week with Congress back in session and Mr. Obama about to address both houses of Congress?
Well, I think he's going to give a combative speech. He's going to try to demonstrate that he cares passionately about these issues, that he has drawn lines in the sand that cannot be crossed without him vetoing the bill. Vetoing the bill, in some sense, it's silly because the Democrats control both houses of Congress by such overwhelming margins. I'm afraid that the public option, so-called public option, is dead, and that's a good thing, certainly in a overt form. What they're pushing for now is a delayed introduction of a public plan. I don't think that's going to work out either. I'm afraid, though, that what would pass probably is some form of individual mandate to purchase insurance. The reason I say that is, without this, they're not going to get enough money to engage in subsidizing people and populations that want to support. That's unconstitutional. It will pass. I'm afraid the Republicans are not paying sufficient attention to this, and we shall see how the courts handle this. My hope is that they will strike this provision down.
But let's go to in a sense, the argument of the ends justifying the means. Many people on the left have criticized those people speaking out against healthcare reform about being mean-spirited and denying those who can't afford health care, or those who've been denied health care because of pre-existing conditions, or those who are in the care of a hospital and have, let's say, $50,000 of legal bills that they can't pay. Is this being mean-spirited by not passing some kind of public health insurance?
It's not a question of being mean-spirited. In a way, it's a very easy answer. Now let's leave aside the policy implications of a public option, which I think are bad ones. Even if you accept the proposition that the ends justify the means, if you destroy the constitutional structure that this country has operated under, you have opened up in the future the opportunities to have the coercive use of governmental power that would have such horrible consequences that far from the ends justifying this set of means, this set of means cannot be justified by any ends. What people frequently don't realize is you cannot just look at it one issue at a time. If you change the framework, the legal rules, you've changed it, not perhaps forever, but certainly for a very long time. And you have to look at the consequences, policy-wise, that would produce. It's not just about the healthcare debate. It's about the next bill and the next bill and the next policy area. And the genius of the framers is adopting a set of restrictions on governmental power that, however inconvenient in any particular policy exercise, in the long run is beneficial. Because the government that's too powerful is by definition the government that threatens your liberty and mine, even if today governmental power is being used to placate me, to limit your liberty and enhance my well-being. Because if governmental power brooks no limits, then tomorrow it would be your liberty and my liberty.
Thank you. That's a very sobering thought.
Well, that's the view that the framers brought to bear, and they were absolutely correct. They were exceptional set of people.